What's up, folks? It is Friday Eve, Thursday night for those who like to keep track of the days of the week. And it is also episode 148. And tonight, join us for the second time out of his busy schedule, the full-time writer for our Philadelphia Eagles and your Philadelphia Eagles, Ed Kracz, joins us again for a second time here on the show. I believe the last time we had Ed was just before we hit episode 100. So at least we're just about at the halfway point to 150. So, hey, another monumental feat. And, of course, it's great to have Ed with us. The Eagles are getting ready for some preseason action come tomorrow against the Jets. Doesn't mean a whole lot. Of course not. We all know this. But it's all right because we still enjoy at least some preseason football. Of course, the other 32 teams will be on as well. So for those who like your Buffalo Bills or maybe your Pittsburgh Steelers, whomever team that you end up liking, your team, I'm quite sure we'll be playing tomorrow night as well. And we understand that Dick Vermeil was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Next week, we'll hope to have Melissa and Jeff on at the same time. Therefore, they can give us the whole Hall of Fame background and the people they end up getting together with over there. So lots to get into today. Of course, as Fuji likes to talk about Tom Brady all the time, we'll find out maybe why Tom decided, I can see him already shaking his head, but Tom decided to take some personal time off, whatever the case that might be. I don't know, maybe I have some insight for it, but either way, we hope that you join us all for this episode tonight. We do appreciate everyone tuning in from overseas to Australia, to our friends up the north, and everyone here in America. Thank you for watching Broad Street South. Thank you for listening to the audio download. And don't forget, you can always listen to the show on the audio side wherever you get your podcast from. And you can always end up watching replay on Facebook and also on YouTube. So thank you to everyone. I'm Angel. Welcome to episode 148 on Broad Street South. Play, there it is. So, of course, I cannot do the show without Gene the Dancing Machine, Danny Terrio himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the Godfather. What's
Angel,
up, Fuji?
What is going on? One more day, preseason Eagles, Jets, ready to kick it off. Sean and Ed Kracz in the house. Ready to talk Eagles. Phil's dropping one today, losing Kyle Schwarber with a right leg ankle strain. How are you? I messed that up. Can we retake this?
All right. This is a rare moment in Godfather history. Hey, Godfather, how about you? How about you try that all over again since you got all screwed up with Kyle Schwarber? Maybe leave Kyle out of it. So how about here? It just act like the intros at the end. Introduce yourself once again, Godfather. Godfather, how are you?
Good. How are you, Angel?
Seeing you. Oh, boy. All right. Well, I tried. That's the first one in a long time that you've ever screwed up your own intro. But, hey, that's right. That's why we're live here in Tampa, Florida at the LG Direct Sales Solutions Studios. Oh, my God. That's a great blooper that's going to go out later on this week. So thank you for that one. But thanks for everyone for tuning in here. We are live at the LG Direct Sales Solutions Studios in Tampa, Florida. And it's been over 100 degrees now for our 39th day in a row, but that's okay. No complaints whatsoever because you get used to it when you're down here. But talking about feeling the heat, of course, our good friend, the sports contributor, back again with us tonight is Sean Kilrain. Sean, how are you this evening?
Good.
Oops, hold on. My fault. Sean, give me a second. That was my goof up. There you go.
What's up, Sean? How you doing?
What's up? What's up, Fuge? What's up, Angel? How you guys doing tonight?
Good. That's all right. Listen,
Happy
and again,
Friday.
I'm going to pick up Fuji. Kyle Schwarber suffered a right calf strain. He's out day to day. So
see, there you go.
There you go.
That's what happens when he gets super excited. That's the only problem. Once Fuji gets super excited, there's no stopping him, and that's what ends up happening. But it's okay. Listen, it happens to the best of us. It's just the way it works. So no big deal.
Yes,
but since we can't have walk-on music thanks to a particular channel that likes to flag me every time I do any kind of like new or interesting thing, well, I figured we'll bring up the Eagles Hustle video and introduce Ed Kracz that way. So right after this, the man himself will be on with us, Ed Kracz. So enjoy the short video, and we'll be on with Ed. So Ed, if we had walk-up music, that would be now your new walk-up intro. So anytime you come back to the show, every Eagles hype video will be dedicated to you, sir, because of all the full-time hours and a nonstop dedication you do for us, the fans, for the people who listen. As far as your articles, read them, everything that you need to find out about Ed Kracz, you will find out tonight. Ed, thank you once again for joining us for the second time here. And by the way, halfway to another milestone. So I don't know. I think you bring really good luck when it comes to the Eagles season. But thanks, Ed, for joining us once again tonight.
Congratulations on your 148th podcast here. That's a great achievement, guys. You're doing a lot right, obviously. And Fuge, man, you sounded like a guy coming off vacation or something. Were you on vacation recently? I mean, you're a little rusty there with the intro. You know, you'll nail it. You'll get it.
It's the tongue-tied.
That's what happens. Every once in a while, it doesn't happen much, but every once in a while, he just flubs over himself. I think because I screwed him up early with the TV12 talk. I think that's the only reason why he got screwed up initially. Because other than that,
I'm not the one with the jersey in the back of my closet down there.
Yeah,
man.
I don't have.
I swear to it.
You got it. Yeah, you can swear all you want to, but that's okay because it's not back there. But thanks for playing that game anyways. But listen, thanks to everyone once again for tuning in. And thank you to Australia, not only to the right side, I guess, of the state, also on Perth. Perth, Australia, also tuning in. So thank you guys and girls for listening in. We do appreciate it. And there are Eagles fans out there in Australia as well. So if you want all your content that you need, of course, you can always go to PhiladelphiaEagles.com. But please lock it in here to BroadStreetSouth.com and Broad Street South, anywhere you get your podcast from, because we always try and keep you informed as the season goes along. So, Ed, once again, we find ourselves in another Eagles season. It seems like Nick Sirianni kind of changed up a little bit, not too much from his first year here in Philadelphia, but I hear already some grumblings from certain media that they say that he doesn't take practice tough enough. Now, we know with the new CBA agreements, if they're not putting on the pads and everything else, and barring the injuries the Eagles have had since the Super Bowl era, it seems like he's trying to minimize all those injuries so we go into a healthier season. So, Nick, going into year 2, has he gotten better in training camp, or did he just keep pretty much the same rhythm that he did year 1 being here?
Yeah, listen, I think he's listening to the sports science people who are telling him, his situation's unique where he's practicing 2 straight days. They go from what they call a yellow practice, where it's about an hour and 15, to a green practice the very next day, which is about an hour and a half, hour and 45, and then they do a walkthrough. Okay, they back it off. And he was told by the sports science people that the reason for that is players tend to get the soft tissue injuries a little bit more when they practice 3 straight days. On that third day, when their muscles are a little more broken down, that's when they are more susceptible to soft tissue injuries. Now, whether it's working or not, I don't know. Devontae Smith, we haven't seen him in almost a week. He's got a groin injury. I believe that a groin injury is a soft tissue injury. We saw the rookie tight end, Grant Calcaterra, injure his hamstring in the 8 days ago. We haven't seen him either, and he was doing pretty well. Someone who probably would have had a role, but now I don't know how that's going to set him back. But, whether or not this is working, I don't know. I watched an episode of Hard Knocks with the Detroit Lions. It just debuted earlier this week. And, everybody has the Lions going to the Super Bowl now because Dan Campbell's a tough coach. He's in your face. He's yelling and screaming. Guys, that's not the way Nick's doing it. They're tackling to the ground, Detroit. The Eagles will every now and then take a guy to the ground. But, he wants these guys fresh for the opener, and he feels this is the best way to do it.
Well, it's funny as you bring that up here. Someone with the question. By the way, if you guys have guys and girls, by any means, but if you guys have a question, do me a favor, put your name up there, because when it comes to Facebook, Facebook unfortunately does not display your name because of privacy issues. Go figure. That's the only thing that Facebook cares about as far as your privacy when it comes to a show. So when you guys have a question, do me a favor, just write your name up there so we can credit you with asking a question. But there's a question already asked saying, watching Hard Knocks and Detroit is physical. Any concern that we aren't ready for the physical play early?
Listen, there's a couple ways to get physical, and shout out to Olivia Newton-John, who Get Physical just passed away at 73. But, there's different ways to be physical, and the Eagles are physical. They're just not tackling to the ground. And when they put full pads on, they're working hard up front. And I will say that, it's a very fast-paced practice. There's not a lot of downtime for these guys. They're going from drill to drill, to play to play. And I think some of that has to do with year 2 of Sirianni. A lot of these guys have returned. The entire coaching staff has returned. So they know what the expectations are now to practice. Detroit's very physical, and maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know. Or maybe their legs are going to be shot. That physical coach, if you don't start winning early, they're going to turn you out real quick.
Yeah.
These guys are men. They want to be treated like men. It's a different generation of player now. If they're getting physical and they're getting hurt, or they're not going to be as fresh, maybe their legs are going to be a little bit worn down on September 11th when that game comes about. Whereas, the Eagles are physical, and we'll see some physicality against the Jets on Friday night, and then in Cleveland next weekend, and then to finish it off in Miami. We'll see them physical, and we've seen some physicality in training camp. It's just not that, in your face, rah, tackle to the ground. The Eagles are still doing one-on-one drills with their offensive and defensive linemen, and they get pretty physical. So, Detroit's doing it their way, and the Eagles are doing it theirs. And, we'll see which way works best. I think the Eagles have a better roster. If the Eagles go to Detroit and lose, then that's a concern. And, Detroit's way, I guess, would have been the right way.
Right. And it's been talked about so far that I think it's probably the most hype that I've seen so far for the Eagles this season. And I mean, almost every media outlet out there is saying that the Eagles look a lot better than they did last year, even with the same head coach. And then you still have some people that say, is Nick the actual head coach for the Eagles? I believe so, the same way I believe that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback for this team as well. But you hear a lot of people just saying that, well, the Eagles look a lot better. They did great in the draft. I think the Jets got the number 1 as far as overall in the draft this season. But they like the pickup, obviously, of Jordan Davis, some other key players. But this is probably the most talked about team that we have seen and probably since 2016 going into 2017. So I know that if people want to see them get hard, and as far as the physical portion of it, that they want to see them tackle to the ground, but also it's the most unusual hot summer that we've seen across the U.S. So I'm in agreement there, because obviously down here with the Bucs, it's the same way. A lot of these guys are suffering from heat strokes and cramps because it's been extremely hot. And even if you're indoors in the facility they have down there at One Buck Place, you have the AC running, but it doesn't matter how much you're pumping that AC in there, because that building gets extremely hot with the temperatures down here. So to me, I think I'm applauding Nick for as far as the way he's handling practice right now, because that's the last thing that we want. And along with that, we saw that Jason Kelce also had his elbow repaired, and they're expecting him to come back week 1. Do you believe that Kelce will be ready in 5 weeks to be able to play and continue his starting streak?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. Of course, Sirianni's not putting a timetable on it. He never puts a timetable on a return for a player, but, he kind of gave a little wink and said, if he's close leading into that Detroit game, he's got 122 game starting streak. If he's close, he's going to want to keep that going. He's going to want to grow that to 123. So, yeah, I think, and Kelce's, and Sirianni said it, one of the toughest guys he knows, and that's absolutely true. We saw him suffer a hyper extended elbow in one game last year, came out late in the second quarter, but he was back out there in the second half. I mean, just, he'll play through anything. My best Jason Kelce story is one, I think it was in Washington after a game many years ago where he was playing with his knee wrapped up. He was having really bad knee injury, and he was still playing. And I was watched as the trainer unwrapped his leg, and the thing was totally black. There was no blood flow coming to that knee. And his leg was literally black. I'm thinking, my God, they're going to have to amputate this thing. This looks horrible. But, Kelsey, tough as could be, got up, went into the shower, black leg and all. And I was just so blown away by that. He's just, he's one of those heart and soul guys on that line. And I think he'll answer the bell for sure. But, in the meantime, Cam Jurgens, the rookie second-round pick, he's going to be the guy running out there. And it's going to be interesting to see how much Nick plays him on Friday night, if he'll just take him out after what he said he's going to play his starters for a series or two. It'll be interesting to see if Jurgens exits with the rest of that offensive line or if he leaves him in there to get a little more game experience. But this is the best thing, I think, for the Eagles. It's kind of like Tom Brady down there in Tampa, Angel, who's taking this 10-day personal leave. That's a good thing for the Bucs, right? Because now you have Kyle Trask and, whoever their other quarterbacks are. Now they can get some reps. They can kind of learn the offense a little quicker. And it's the same with Cam Jurgens with Jason Kelsey. He can get these first-team reps. He can see defenses, the first-team defense, and it's a good thing for him. So not necessarily a bad thing. I personally think Kelsey will be ready week one, just knowing the type of player he is and that consecutive game streak I'm sure he wants to continue with. Right.
Fuji, before I get to you, there's two questions I'm going to bring up. One by Rick Marcus, great friend of the show here. Rick says, without hitting hard in practice, what excuses will be given for injuries on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think you can really legislate against injuries. The Eagles are just listening to the sports science and doing what they're being told by sports science. But to me, if an injury is going to happen, it's going to happen. They've had 12 or 13 guys on their practice report as of day 10 on Wednesday's last practice the media was allowed to watch. So that's a pretty high number. Now, I think they're being cautious with some of these guys. They don't want to kind of just rush them out there because it is, early August, and you want to have them fresh. I mean, I guess it's probably a month from today, right, that they open the season. Yeah. So, there's no sense in rushing some of these guys. Yeah. Second year in the system, just play it safe with these guys. Why put them back there and risk further injuring yourself? So if they have injuries Friday, I don't know if it's anybody's fault. I just think that's just the way the game's played. It's a very violent, very physical game.
Yep, it is. I 100% agree. And I know this one's from Mike Klein here, and he says the Eagles know all of that. We are ready for anything. We'll beat the Lions. I'm worried about the Vikings. And he says, go Eagles, and we are at PhillyToSouth.com. By the way, speaking of Philly to South, if you guys don't forget, Tampa Joe, September 11th, with Mike Klein, with Michelle Henley, the entire gang, plus us here at the podcast will be down there on September 11th at the Tampa Joe's for the home opener kickoff, the away from home kickoff there. So if you guys end up coming down, look on Philly to South Facebook page and sign up so we can get a head count for the people who are going to be down there. So again, September 11th over at Tampa Joe's. And with that, Fuji, I turn over to you, sir.
I was going to let Sean go.
Okay.
Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, Ed, with the wide receiver competition, where does Rieger and J.J. White-Arcega stand at tight end position?
Well,
is there any kind of battle there?
I'll start with Arcega-Whiteside, the former second-round pick drafted as a receiver. He's learning to play tight end. He's gained about 12 pounds. It's a tough go for him, to be honest. In my pre-draft 53-man roster projection, I had the Eagles keeping 4 tight ends, and I had Arcega-Whiteside making it. But now I'm kind of rethinking that because I know they like his blocking. I know they like his special teams ability. So could he be a third tight end? Maybe, but it's tough. It's been tough for him. He doesn't get a whole lot of reps. He's working with the third team and the developmental team. It's tough for him. I think he could be a casualty. I really do. Or, he still has practice squad eligibility because they have these veterans now. I think they're allowed to put 6 veteran players on this 16-man practice squad, which was a rule they implemented during the pandemic, and they're keeping the 16 practice squad players. So, I could see them trying to get him to the practice squad. I don't know if anybody would claim him or not. But yeah, it's going to be tough because, they have Jack Stoll at that tight end spot, who I think is doing pretty well catching the ball, and he was their big blocker last year. And really, you don't need your second tight end to catch too many passes because you have so many weapons with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Kenny Gainwell, or Miles Sanders out of the backfield. I mean, how many catches do you need your second tight end to have? But Stoll's there. I like this Noah Tagai, a kid, an undrafted free agent. out of Oregon that was in the camp for the Eagles originally, I think in 2020. They cut him at the end of summer. The Colts picked him up. He got in the 3 games. The Colts cut him, and the Eagles brought him back. I like the camp he's having. So it's going to be tough for JJ. As far as Rager goes, I think he's going to make the team. They're not going to cut him. They're probably going to try to trade him, but I don't know what his value is. And Howie Roseman is probably asking. In fact, I know he's asking more than what teams are willing to give right now. So unless he comes down in his asking price or a team comes up in their offer, then Rager's going to be here and he's going to be on this team. And I think they'll keep 6 wide receivers. I think Greg Ward's time here is in jeopardy. I think he's one of the ones that gets lost in the numbers crunch. And Rager will be that 5th guy behind your top 4, Brown, Smith, Watkins, and Zach Pascal. And then I think they keep 6 receivers. And I think Britton Covey, who we're going to see a lot of in the preseason, starting with the Jets on Friday, very little, 5'8", 175-pound slot guy. Man, he catches the ball. They're looking at him in the punt return game. So maybe they give Rager, maybe Rager doesn't return punts this year if Covey makes the team. But I think they keep 6, and I think Covey is going to be that 6th guy. But I think unless they trade Rager, I think he's going to be a part of this team.
Okay. What about Devin Allen? All this hype about him too, as well.
Yeah. Well, listen. He's a curiosity, Olympic hurdler. He's been inconsistent in camp. He'll drop catches, just routes on air. He gets a little sloppy and drops a pass. But he hasn't played football in 6 years. He'll drop another pass in team drills. He works in the developmental part of practice, runs third team, makes a catch, mixes a catch in there, but mixes a drop in there. Now, the big question is are the Eagles going to give him a pass on that, knowing that, hey, he's shaking off 6 weeks or 6 years worth of rust from not having played football? Are they going to keep him on this roster? Remember, Tuesday they have to cut 5 players from this roster. They have to bring the roster from 90 to 85 after the first preseason game. So, a couple of us writers on the sideline, we're talking, hey, could Devin Allen be one of those guys that gets cut? And, it's possible. I don't see it, but I think he's got 1.5 feet in the hurdle world. He's trying to qualify for the next Summer Olympics in Paris in 2026. He hasn't played football for 6 years. If he wants to continue on this team, it's going to probably be on the practice squad, unless they cut him on Tuesday. If they cut him on Tuesday, I'm not sure they want him on the practice squad. But that's where his niche is going to be, on the practice squad. But who knows if he even wants to keep playing football, because he has to start training for the Olympics. So I think he's more of a curiosity. Yeah, he's got some speed, but he doesn't really know where he's going. His route running isn't that precise yet. Again, are the Eagles going to give him a pass and keep him around for the rest of the month? Or are they going to part ways on Tuesday with him? I don't see him making this team at all.
And as far as anybody in 10, 11 days in the training camp, is there anybody that's having like a standout training camp that's looking great from your perspective?
Well, listen, Britton Covey, who I just talked about, I think as the undrafted free agent, he's probably the leader of that group of undrafted free agents. It always seems like the Eagles find somebody as an undrafted free agent that helps the team. I mean, TJ Edwards, there's your starting middle linebacker. He was an undrafted free agent. He started out on this team 9th on the depth chart. Now he's a starting linebacker, middle linebacker. We've seen Nate Herbig, who gave the Eagles so many quality games as an offensive lineman. As soon as they cut him, Joe Douglas and the Jets were on the phone. Hey, we want him. We'll claim him, and we'll see Nate Herbig Friday night for the Jets. They and Corey Clement, Super Bowl hero of 2017 season. He was an undrafted free. I mean, you can go down the line and find guys. Josh Adams, a running back, led the team in rushing one year, undrafted free agent. So Britton Covey to me is a guy who has stood out the most. I really like this cornerback that they signed as an undrafted kid, Josh Jobe. From Alabama, University of Alabama. He's got some speed. He's got some size. But again, it's a numbers game at that cornerback spot. James Bradbury, who has stood out to me in camp for sure. I mean, Bradbury, that's one of the funnest parts of this camp is watching Bradbury and Slay go against Brown. Well, Smith hasn't been out there. But going against Brown, Pascal a little bit. He hasn't been out there much because of the food poisoning. And Quez Watkins. I mean, these battles are just great. Bradbury has really shined. Maybe some of the unexpected guys that have stood out to me. Andre Shasheri, the safety, getting first-team reps. He's very good in special teams. He was a guy that I didn't think was going to make Actually, I did have him on my pre-camp 53-man roster projection, but he's really playing well, and they're actually giving him some reps at slot cornerback as well, trying to cross-train him. And interestingly, they're giving Josiah Scott some reps at safety. He's a slot corner, was Avonte Maddox's backup last year. They're giving him reps at safety. They're starting to cross-train some of these guys, and my assumption is they like these guys, and they're trying to find a way to keep them on this team because they can do more than one position. So Shasheri stood out. This kid, Marlon Tuipualatu, who was a sixth-round pick last year. The Eagles kept him on the 53 all year. He was inactive for all but 5 games. He's really come back strong. He looks quick. He looks more confident. I think he was hurt a good part of last year coming out of USC. I think he had an ankle injury that kind of bothered him throughout most of the season. But right now he looks like he's the backup to Jordan Davis at nose tackle. So, those are just a few guys that have really stood out. In the linebacker play, TJ Edwards has been fantastic. Davion Taylor has looked really good. His biggest thing is staying healthy. Hasn't done that. It seems like whenever he starts getting momentum, he was playing well last year, got hurt. And Kaiser White looks really fast, looks really good at covering tight ends and backs. So those 3 linebackers. And then there's Nakobe Dean, who, anybody that thought he was going to come in and, be a starter day one, it's not going to happen. I mean, he's going to have to see how this season unfolds for him, and he's going to have to earn some playing time. So we'll see how that all plays out. But those are some things that have really stood out to me. Slay's been terrific. Looks like he's ready to, repeat as a Pro Bowl player, at least in camp. I mean, we got 17 weeks to go for the season. But those are some guys that have really, really flashed for me.
As far as the safety position, I mean, I'm hearing Marcus Epps is looking pretty solid, and Jaquiski Tartt really hasn't been at practice for like a week, I heard.
He's missed 3
practices. On that?
Jaquiski Tartt's missed 3 practices for personal reasons, and it's hard to shake down anybody that is going to reveal what those personal reasons are. We're just going to have to wait for him to come back and see. Maybe he'll want to shed some light on that. But listen, he was already way behind the 8 ball, so to speak, because he signed June 18th. He came onto the team June 18th, so already he's a little behind. 7 seasons in San Francisco. Good friends with James Bradbury. The 2 of them played together at Samford University. I think that's in Alabama. But he's got his work cut out, and he could be a guy that maybe he doesn't make it, because how many safeties are you going to keep here, Fuge? I mean, you have Epps. You have who else you got? Anthony Harris. Anthony Harris, yeah. Who else? They got Andre Shasheri, who I already mentioned. Maybe they like Josiah Scott enough to be confident in him to play safety in a pinch. It's just Kayvon Wallace. Is he going to make this team? 4th-round pick out of Clemson a couple of years ago. I mean, the odds are stacked against him, depending on how many safeties you keep. I mean, I think they're keeping 4, to be honest. And if you cross-train a Scott to be able to play some safety, then that's your guy in a pinch. And then they might keep 5 or 6 cornerbacks, probably 6. How's
Mario Goodrich look?
He looks okay. He every now and then he makes a play that kind of stands out. I'm not ready to say he's going to make the team. I think he's another possible candidate for a practice squad, but he's not going to make this team, I don't think. I think Josh Jobe, to me, like I mentioned, the cornerback, they signed 3 corners. They signed Josh Blackwell from Duke, Jobe, and then Goodrich. And to me, Jobe is at the head of that class. And another safety I didn't mention is another undrafted free agent, Reed Blankenship from Middle Tennessee State. I mean, he's played pretty well. He was getting actually some first-team reps on Wednesday. So, I'm not sure how much the reps mean at this point, but he's playing against that first-team offense. So they must like him a little bit if they're playing him first-team reps a little bit. So Reed Blankenship, another one to keep an eye on at safety.
Ed, do you see the Eagles going out and bringing in a bigger back, like a Jordan Howard type?
No, I don't. And, we asked the running back coach, Jamal Singleton, this, like, is it necessary to have a 240-pound type back for the short yardage? And he said, listen, look at Boston Scott. He's a powerful – he's not a big back. He's only, 5'6", 5'7", but, just Singleton said – Singleton said he's strong, man. His legs, his lower body, he's strong, he's fast, he hits the hole, and he'll knock you backwards. So, they don't need that too much. I always thought they did, and kind of still think they do, but I don't see them bringing Howard back. I think Singleton likes this group. They can all do something a little different. Gainwell out of the backfield, maybe Sanders a little bit out of the backfield. Sanders, your home run hitter. I think Scott can run it between the tackles. I know they like Jason Huntley, too, another kid that has had a pretty good camp, and you're going to see a lot of him in the preseason because Eagles just don't have many running backs. Scott is hurt. He has a concussion. Kenny Gainwell has a hip injury. Don't know how serious that is. He probably won't play on Friday night. So they signed this kid, DeAndre Torrey, out of North Texas State, and they cut one of the receivers, Kerrick Wheatfall, to make room for him on the 90-man. So they just need bodies. They just need running backs to get through the season, the preseason, because you want to keep your guys like Sanders and Scott when he returns and Gainwell when he returns. You want to keep them fresh. You don't want to burn them out in August, and then they start the season with dead legs and have to fight through that. So they need guys to carry the ball in the preseason, and they have the one kid, Kennedy Brooks from Oklahoma, undrafted free agent. You're going to see a lot of him. He's a bigger back, 5'11", I think about 215, 220. So we'll see. What Singleton said about him is he liked him in college because he's a guy that's always falling forward like a big back does. When he gets hit, he doesn't get knocked back. He falls forward, kind of like Jordan Howard did. So I don't see him bringing Howard back. I think they're going to roll the dice with what they have. I mean, listen, they probably would have brought Howard back already if they felt they were going to bring him back. So right. I don't see that happening.
Well, he was fighting the neck injuries for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah,
I believe, correct?
Right. That's right. The stinger issue. We always had that stinger problem. That's a good point.
And before I get into some Kareem Hunt talk here, as far as in relation, not directly with the Eagles, but I want to bring up here on this banner here, and I want for everyone who's watching today and be listening on the audio download, if you guys and girls can do us a favor, great friend of the show, Rob Motti, his father is going through it right now, and he is trying to battle with his last breath, and we're hoping that it's not his time yet. So if you guys can do me a favor and just say a prayer tonight when you go to bed, before you go to bed, or even during the show here, could you guys do us a great favor and pray for Rob Motti's dad? Because we all know, as I said to Rob earlier today when I was getting the update, that we all have our sunset dates. We're just hoping that for his dad right now, because his mom obviously is very heartbroken that this is going on kind of unexpectedly. So if you guys don't mind, please pray for Rob Motti's dad that hopefully it's not his time yet and that he can make at least a partial recovery and continue to recover. So we would greatly, greatly appreciate here at Broad Street South. So with Kareem Hunt, we know that obviously now he's requesting a trade. The question was asked to me when I was on with the Steel Steady Renegades guy on Sunday night, that if the Eagles have the opportunity, would they take on Kareem Hunt? What I said to them was, I don't believe the Eagles want to bring all that extra baggage as they've gotten rid of their drama at this point, and I don't see why the Eagles want to pick him up in the first place, because there's money behind it, number one, where the Eagles don't have. And number two, I think they want to save if they're looking for a running back, maybe for this future draft that's coming up here for 23. But Ed, would the Eagles even entertain the thought about Kareem Hunt?
Well, you mentioned the baggage, and you're right. This is a good character team to me. In fact, I was talking to an assistant coach on the sidelines, and I won't give his name, but we were just talking, and he said we don't have any a-holes on this team. Now, I'm not saying that's Kareem Hunt, but right. He does have the baggage. But my biggest thing with Kareem Hunt is the contract. You're going to pay him a whole lot of money to play football, and the Eagles just don't do that with their running backs. That's why when you look at Miles Sanders, people wonder, are you going to give him an extension? I mean, it depends what an extension looks like, because the Eagles just aren't going to invest, I don't think, that kind of money. And Kareem Hunt's going to make more than Miles Sanders. So, no, they're not going to bring in Kareem Hunt. They're happy. I'm telling you, they're happy with their running backs. They're happy with Sanders, Scott, Gainwell. They like that versatility. They're starting to like Jason Huntley a lot. So I think they're fine at running back. They don't need Kareem Hunt. They don't need to pay him $15 million a year or whatever it is. Like Le'Veon Bell wanted that huge contract. He gets that big contract and he turns into a dog. I'm not saying, again, Kareem Hunt's going to do that, but, he's further down in his career, further along in his career. The Eagles are better off just, finding a running back in the fourth round of next year's draft, to be honest, if they want to do it that way. But they're not going to bring in Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, it's the same thing I discussed with those guys. I just don't see the Eagles doing it. Like I said, this team is gelled really well together. Nick Sirianni definitely has control of the clubhouse, which is what we want to see, because the last thing you want is just to see, open chaos all over the place. We know there's going to be like certain scrimmages we've seen with certain teams. Obviously, the guys in the heat of the battle, are they going to get in each other's face? We know that. We see it. It happens every year. It's no different in preseason football. We just hope that obviously is and take it to a whole different level at that point. But also, since if you've been down there at practice and seeing what's going on down there, Jalen Hurts, year 2, does he look better in the pocket? Does he look better overall, or is he still looking like he's got those learning curves to go through?
Man, I love that we're 35 minutes into this show, and the first time we've been asked about Jalen Hurts is right now. I love that because, there's so many other parts to this team that have to play up to their abilities. It's not just Jalen Hurts, but obviously he's the quarterback. There's that huge focus on him. To me, Jalen Hurts doesn't look a whole lot different than the Jalen Hurts from last year. If there's any difference, they seem to be trying to get him to throw shorter passes, like try not to go deep, try not to, take off and run. They want to run quick timing patterns. They've worked on that a lot of crossing stuff, quick slants inside, a lot of intermediate routes where he's getting the ball out quick. I think that's kind of the difference in what we're seeing. They want him to get the ball out quick. And then if that first read isn't there, then you move on to the second read instead of just taking off. And then maybe, you find Dallas Goedert over here because they're doubling A.J. Brown over here or Devontae Smith over there. So, they want him, if you can't get the ball out quick, they want him to progress to at least a second read, even the third read. And you have the offensive line to be able to do that, obviously, because it's a veteran line. So that's what they want. Listen, they're going to use him still on the ground. They're going to let him run the ball because that's a big part of his game. And we saw him at the link practice on Sunday night. They did a lot of that read option stuff. So they're still going to do that. But I'm of the opinion that, they need to let him run less. They want to see less of these scramble drills where he takes off running. They want to see him either throw it away or try to make a play if it's there to whatever read you're on at that point. Because when he runs, he gets hurt. I mean, he stands the chance to get hurt, right? I mean, we see it with quarterbacks. He got hurt last year against the Giants with the ankle injury, missed the Jets game, came back for the last month of the season, but it was a serious injury. He ended up having surgery on that ankle. So, he was playing really with one leg last year at the end of the season. We saw Lamar Jackson in Baltimore, another running quarterback. He got hurt, lost the last month and a half of the season. The Ravens went in the tank. So, to me, Hurts, they want him to get rid of the ball, and they don't want him to take these unless it's there and you can get the yardage. But we see him getting out of bounds a lot, sliding. I don't think they want him taking too many chances with his body. So they're trying to train him to take what's there, take that first read. And a lot of that first read stuff, like I said, has been slant pattern stuff, short crosses in the middle, and intermediate out routes. Haven't seen a whole lot of deep throws from him in team drills. We've seen it in 7-on-7s and 1-on-1s, not so much in teams. So to me, he looks kind of the same though, mechanically, read-wise. But Hurts is a guy, when the lights come on, I think he elevates his game a notch. And, I think we'll see that once the season starts.
Well, at least listen, I've been a huge fan, advocated for him obviously a lot last season, still pressing the same exact way this season. Eagles, Howie has done as much as he possibly could with the salary cap to at least bring some weapons for him. So just like Tua, it's for Jalen this season to basically lose that job. My only question is, if let's just say the Eagles start out, let's do a 2-5 scenario. Oof. At that point, does Nick start looking at the overall picture and wondering, is Jalen going to be my future quarterback? Or is he at that point, with some more mechanical fixes, maybe he can be fixed, or I do need to look more into my quarterback, I guess, stable that I have.
So you're saying you put Gardner Minshew in or Reed Sinnett, who I think Reed Sinnett's gotten better each day, to be honest. But right. Listen, they're going to ride with Hurts until the very end of this season, and then they're going to take a look around and see how he did. And, they're going to come up for air. They're going to look at how he did. They're going to look at his tape. They're going to evaluate him, and they're either going to pay him a huge contract. They're going to give him $35 million, which is going to blow your salary cap up, or they're going to go draft another guy and probably keep Hurts on this roster going into his last year of his deal. But he's going to be competing with whoever it is they're going to draft next season. I mean, they have the ammunition to try to make a play for a quarterback. So, yeah, Hurts is playing for his life. And listen, I'm not 100% sold on him. I really like the kid. I like his intangibles a whole lot. His teammates love him. They're behind him. They have his back. I mean, Nick Sirianni, the first day of practice, shows up wearing a Jalen Hurts T-shirt, Jalen Hurts' face on it. And A.J. Brown, we asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, halfway through I looked over and saw it. I mean, man, that's lit. Your coach is wearing your brand. I mean, that's great. And we see A.J. Brown shows up to training camp with a hat on that says Hurt Season, SZN.
Right.
So his teammates have his back. So I love the intangibles of Jalen Hurts. I'm not sure he's going to ever be that high completion percentage passer, which is to me what I think they're trying to work on in camp is to get that completion percentage up. It was 61% in his first year as a starter. It's got to be higher. It's got to be, 65, I think, at minimum. And I have my concerns as to whether or not he can do that. I don't know. But that's what they want to see. They want to see him be a higher completion percentage guy.
Right. You speak about the players. Interesting enough, as I roll into it, there's another video that I want to show here as far as when it comes to the players and how much the Eagles get involved in the community, especially during the practice. I know they're limited this season as far as what they wanted to do with the fans, whether being at the link or being at the practice field. So I want to bring up this video, and there's a reason behind it. So let me show this clip here, and then we'll come back.
Thank you.
Oh, this is from the championship.
Yeah.
They gave us one. NFC.
This is so cool.
The one reason why I bring up that clip there, because obviously when it comes to the Eagles, and we've seen it, and maybe it could be one-sided, I don't know. People can call me a homer, but I know like being in Philadelphia and then obviously being down here in Tampa, but being in Philly, Eagles are always, historically involved within the community. Love their fans, absolutely passionate. They also know that the fans bring the best out of them and also bring the worst out of them because as much as we talk about the other team on the western side of PA, there's no difference. And there's no team like the Eagles. You can try and say it about the Giants if you want. You can try and say it about DCU if you like, which I don't think they're going to do much of anything this year. But for me, the Eagles have always been involved. You'll see them, whether it's painting a school, either donating to a school. These players, when they come here, when they connect with this community, how much, and if you hear anything during the practice, how much do they love being a part of it and how much do they enjoy it, even though they have a busy schedule throughout the regular season, but how much enjoyment or how much happiness does it bring them?
It's huge. That, and the players talk about it all the time, that the passion that these fans have, not just for football, but for Philadelphia Eagles football. And the players see that and they know it. And they want to strive to satisfy that hunger that these fans show towards them. And, sometimes, look, they're human too. They don't always play at, the best football or they make mistakes. But, it's not because they're not trying. They love the passion that these fans bring. And I'll say about those fans, it's a shame that not your average fan can really come out to watch them practice. They only have a couple hundred fans at practice each day. And a lot of those fans are season ticket holders or they're corporate sponsors, partners with the Eagles and, various companies. It's their, family, friends, whoever they decide to bring. It's, football, high school football teams, even younger than that. They had a flag football team from Lansdale Catholic, a high school in suburban Philadelphia, who won their flag football tournament that they had earlier. They came out to practice. So it's a very limited fan base that's allowed to come see these practices. And that's a shame. It's not Lehigh where you just show up and you walk in. It's not like that anymore.
Right.
But, listen, the Eagles connection to the community is strong. I understand why they do this. They like to be in their facility rather than packing up the trucks and go live in a dorm for a month and a half, on these short beds where, you put Jordan Davis in a dorm room bed. He's going to be hanging off the edge of the bed by his knees.
Right.
So, I understand why they do it, but,
Sure.
They had that open practice at the link, right? On Sunday night, they charged $10 a person, very, reasonably priced, I thought. And they had 30,000 people show up. They raised $350,000 for their Eagles Autism Foundation, which is their number one charity, which is tremendous. These fans turn out and they support, and the Eagles give right back with their players. Jordan Davis, listen, Davis, he's a fun dude to watch. He's a good guy, really good teammate, and he signs autographs every single day after practice. And as hot as it is in Tampa, it's only about 10 degrees cooler here, Angel. It's like 90. The Eagles have moved up a couple practices by an hour. just to
Right.
try to beat the heat from 10 a.m. to 9 a.m. And Davis, he brings water ice to his teammates, the veterans. He signs autographs. He takes pictures. He just loves it. And, he doesn't have to do that. And he does. I mean, he gets it. So there's a lot of players on the team like that. Jason Kelsey's one. I mean, you just go down the list. So, yeah, it's cool to see.
Just to touch on that stuff, Ed, I mean, that's stuff you don't really hear, like, from the media besides, you telling us. Just like the camaraderie with the players interacting with the fans, which, which we all love. Some of these guys won't even, probably on other teams, won't even give you the time of day.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. And, sometimes players are hot at the end of practice and they just kind of ease off and go into but because it's been hot. But there are certain players that who show up every single day after practice, and they'll sign every last autograph that's being asked of them. And I just point out Jordan Davis because, he just seems to have really a fun time doing it. And, he's a 6'6", 340-pound man. I'm sure he's just dripping sweat. In fact, I know he is. When he sits in that media tent and talks to us at the podium, he gets up and there's like 4 inches of sweat on his chair. It's disgusting. The next player comes up and he's like, "Oh, I need a new chair. I can't sit. This is disgusting. Jordan, man, get back here and clean your chair." So someone brings up another chair and stuff. So, listen, Davis, he could go right into the locker room and sit in the air conditioning and, take a shower and unpack his pads and get ready for the next team meeting. But he doesn't. He sits there and signs autographs. And I could tell you a lot of players that do that. I just highlight Jordan Davis because, he's fun to watch. He's the rookie. You're from Georgia. It's just I just like to spotlight him.
And as far as Brandon Graham,
just seems so humble.
Very humble. Very humble. He was asked about that clip from the link that went viral of him bull rushing Cam Jurgens into the backfield. Jurgens, I don't know if you saw the video, looked like he was doing the bunny hop, like he tried to anchor 4 different times, tried to set that butt down low, and Davis just kept pushing him. And the video went viral, over 5 million views last I checked. The first 12 and a half hours it was up, and Davis was asked about it, what his thoughts were, and he's like, "I hate it." He goes, "You're looking at one play and you're seeing Cam and me go." He goes, "But you're not seeing us here every day in practice." And I've been at every practice and I've seen it, and I've seen Jurgens have he's won his share of battles too. So that's what Davis was spotlighting is, Cam's a good player and we're just iron sharpening iron, one of the most overused sports cliches these days. But he goes, "We're iron sharpening iron." He goes, "Nobody's seeing Cam and me at practice, and Cam has won his share of battles," and he has. But that one play in that little vacuum of an open practice where the average fan can come and watch, that goes viral. But, he defended Jurgens, and he was right to do it because I've seen it, and Jurgens does well on occasion against him. Davis has his way sometimes, but they go back and forth. So, he said that. He just knows how to say the right things. He said, "Listen, this isn't about me. It's about us as a team. Football's a team game. It takes 11 guys to get us where we want to go, and hopefully these 11 guys that we have on defense are going to get us to the promised land." He goes, "But it's not about me. It's about everybody." I mean, this guy, he's making millions of dollars. He was drafted 13th overall, and he's got the right mindset. Like I said, he gets it on the field and off the field.
And as far as Jonathan Gannon, as far as like picking up him saying about playing the 3-4 defense, I mean, do you see him utilizing just blitzing a lot?
I don't know. Yeah, I would think so. I mean, we talked to Hassan Reddick, and I was one of 3 people interviewing him in kind of this mixed zone away from the media tent where they bring guys out. And, he was asked about rushing because Gannon and Jeremiah Washburn asked him his opinion, his input on what he wants him to do and what they want him to do. "What do you want to do today, Hassan? What do you want to work on?" And he appreciates that. But I said to him, I said, "Hey, do you ever say, 'Hey, I want to drop in coverage on this play'? Do you ever tell them that?" And he's like, and it didn't look like he was going to say yes, but he's like, "I understand why they want to do that." He goes, "Because other things come off of that." So I'm thinking that means a blitz. If you're dropping Hassan Reddick into coverage, then maybe you're bringing Andre Shasheri off the edge on a safety blitz or Marcus Epps off a safety blitz or Nakobe Dean or TJ Edwards off a linebacker blitz, because now you have a defensive end, an overhang player, an edge rusher like Reddick who's dropping back. So you're getting a different look as a quarterback, and then maybe you're confused, and maybe you throw it right to Reddick and he picks it off. So he's not going to drop a lot, But he says, I can appreciate what they want to do. It's not just him saying we're going to drop you because there's no reason. He goes, there's other things that come off of that. And I'm thinking, yeah, that he's going to blitz probably off some of those design drops for Reddick, and he's going to disguise them. And you're not going to know who's coming where. And maybe nobody's coming. Maybe they just don't know Reddick's dropping back, and a quarterback's like, oh, crap, I just threw it, and Reddick's standing right there in front of my tight end, and he picks it off. So, I think he's going to do some different things with this defense.
As far as Brandon
Ed,
Graham,
is he going to play Joker?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to move him around. They're going to line him up on the left side, the right side. I don't think they'll put him in the middle. But, yeah, I mean, they'll stand him up. I'm not sure they'll ever put him on, in a 3-point, but or a 4-point. He'll stand up, and he'll look like he's rushing sometimes, or sometimes he'll back off in the coverage. So yeah, whatever you want to call that role, he's going to work both sides. He's going to he'll play a lot. There's no question. He'll play a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Ed, as far as Brandon Graham, would you say he fully recovered from that Achilles injury last year?
Graham looks great. Graham looks fast. He looks bigger. He looks stronger. He's getting a lot of second-team reps. He's just been abusing Jack Driscoll at right tackle. Really kind of an unfair matchup. Everybody thought Driscoll and Siamalo would battle to be the right guard, but, Siamalo has been the day, first day of camp starter at right guard. Driscoll's got no reps at that spot. He's getting backup reps at right tackle because you don't know what you're going to get from Lane Johnson. Lane's 32 years old. He's had the ankle issues. Obviously he's had the mental health issues. You hope he can go all 17, but if he can't, they don't want to move Mulata over to left or right tackle like they did last year and put Dillard in. They want someone trained as a right tackle because Mulata's better as a left tackle. I think it weakens your line when he has to go to the right side. So Graham has just been picking on Driscoll. He looks fast. He's getting a lot of second-team reps, which to me indicates that, his role is not going to be maybe what it was. He's not going to play, 50, 60 snaps. I think they're going to try to kind of conserve him. He's 34 years old, coming off a serious Achilles injury. I think initially they're going to try to monitor his snaps, and maybe that makes him more effective. Because he is older, because he is coming off a serious injury. So maybe he gets 35 to 40 reps to start the season because you have other guys on this team and they're going to use multiple fronts. They're going to use 5-man fronts, 4-man fronts, 3-man fronts. So you don't need him to play 60 reps or 60 snaps a game. I think they're going to back it off, at least initially. Maybe as the season goes on and he shows that, hey, I'm still the same Brandon I was. My Achilles is fine. Maybe they amp it up a little. But I think initially they're going to try to protect him and play him, kind of in a more of a limited role.
Speaking about the offensive line, where do you see Andre Dillard? Is he making this team, or do you think Howie will trade him before the season starts?
Yeah, Howie's not going to give him away. If somebody wants to give you a conditional 3rd-round pick that can become a second, maybe, or maybe a conditional second that become a first, I don't know. I mean, Howie, he tries to get as much value as he can from these first-round guys, and if he doesn't get it, I mean, yeah, okay, so Dillard gives you good depth at left tackle. I mean, and that's what he is. He's going to be your backup left tackle behind Mulata. If they were to trade him, I don't know who your backup left tackle is. LaRaven Clark, who, he's had to play when both Mulata and Dillard were out with concussions for a time in practice, and LaRaven Clark did not look good. And, and listen, he needs the reps. He needs to get better. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but, he needs some time to work on his game. And so They ran an undrafted free agent out there at tackle who's a guard by trade, Josh Sills from Oklahoma by way of West Virginia. The next day after Clark just, the pass rush was just swallowing up Hurts and Minshew and Sinnott because they couldn't block on that side of the line because Raven Clark was just giving up pressure. So they threw Sills out there. Now Clark, he's gotten hurt. So I don't know who your left tackle would be if you trade Dillard. I think you got to keep him. Your backup left tackle, I should say. Obviously, Mulata's the starting left tackle.
We got about a minute or so here into the broadcast, but a question for you as far as what you believe as far as the Eagles. Now, it's too early as far as to talk playoffs or anything else like that. I guess for you, Ed, what would you believe would be a record, I guess, for the Eagles this season? I don't obviously wouldn't see them going 11-6 or anything else like that, but are they more of a 500 team or are they just about 500?
Well, they won 9 games last year, and I know that they played some pretty bad quarterbacks. You don't know how the season's going to unfold with the quarterbacks that they'll end up playing in November, December. What's Justin Fields going to look like in December when they go to Chicago? Listen, you play who you play, but they won 9 games last year, and they have a better roster, in my opinion. So right away, I'm looking at the over from 9 games, and I think they can win 10. I think they could win 11. I mean, listen, you have to have some luck. You have to stay healthy. We all know the NFL season is the ebb and flow. It's who you play and what they did the week before, the injury situation. So there's a lot that goes into it. But I see them as a 10-win team, and then I think they have the ability to win 11.
All right. Well, listen, we hope that it's been year after year after year, and we hope that this year that injury bug, I don't care if it goes further south in the division, if it goes up north in the division. I don't if it wants to make a trip out to the West Coast, it can go wherever else it wants to, because it's been a long time since we've had an entire healthy team. And not only that, it's an early bye week this season, which is the first one in about 3 seasons, I want to say, that it's been that early. So I'm hoping that we stay injury-free, or at least the Eagles. I don't play for them, unfortunately, but I'm hoping the Eagles want to stay injury-free, so therefore they'll be just fine here coming into the latter part of the season. But Ed, thank you once again for joining us tonight, and please let everyone know where they can find you and especially your content.
But yeah, thanks for having me, and again, congrats on show 148 here. Can't wait till number 200 comes up.
Thank you.
But and welcome, Sean.
Thank you very much, Ed.
Yeah, my content, you can hit me on Twitter at Kratze. It's Kracze, or I post all my links there. And John McMullen, who works for me, I post all his stuff as well. And then the website, you can find it at www.si.com/NFL/Eagles. That brings you straight into the site. There's all videos and content that maybe you missed on Twitter or something, so you can just go right there and see the whole menu of stuff that John and I write and the videos that we produce.
Well, we do appreciate it. We always appreciate the hard work. It's not easy. We all know it isn't easy. It's a lot of time that you have to invest, especially when it comes to football season. Everybody knows basically from this time, at least all the way through February, even if your team is not in the playoffs, it's just busy because it's the backstories that come through and everything that happens during the regular season. So, Ed, thanks for joining us, and for everyone.
I was going to say, now they added this new wrinkle where they're going to Cleveland next week for joint practices, and then the following week they're going to Miami. So now I'm going to Cleveland and Miami. Usually I'm not traveling in September, but I'm going to go to these joint practices. So new wrinkle. They're going to be on the road. These practices are great.
Jeez. Well, I mean, I guess it's a good thing overall with the joint practice, but man, that is some extra travel for you now. So that's for sure. And listen, if you need a stand-in double, the Godfather will do it for you. So it's no worries. Whatever you need, just let him know. He'll end up doing it for you, because we always send him on the side.
Absolutely.
After hearing that intro today, after a few days off, that's a prospect, Angel.
All right, well, I forgot all about that. So yeah, that's all right. Hopefully he'll get it back together, Ed. But don't worry, it'll be out on social media later on, so everybody can have a good laugh. But it's all right.
I know he'll get it back. He's a pro.
Well, listen, we'd like to thank our sponsors as well. Tampa Joe's, don't forget, you guys, for the Eagles kickoff party. Yes, there will be a DJ. There will be a tent. There'll be food. There'll be beer. There'll be everything from 11 to 5 p.m. September 11th. 9316 Anderson Road in beautiful Tampa, Florida. A hop, skip, and a jump over there from the airport. If you guys visit tampajoes.com, you'll find the full menu of beers and food and everything else that goes on with Tampa Joe's. And don't forget to go to Philly to South on Facebook to register, to let everybody know, at least we can get a head count of the people that are going to be attending there on September 11th. Also, don't forget for lgdirect.net for Larry Gilman. If you need payment solutions for your credit card terminals and or if you need apparel, please visit lgdirect.net. Also to Big Sarge Sports. Big Sarge doing big things always in Houston, giving you content for the Houston Astros, writing content, I should say, not giving, but writing content for the Astros, covering the Houston Texans. And when the Rockets are playing for the NBA season, Big Sarge Sports is all over it. And also you can hear them Monday through Friday from 10 to 12 Central Standard Time on In the Trenches with Indy Kalu, Chris Cody, and Noah Behind the Glass. So bigsargesports.com. And hopefully I covered just about everybody here tonight, along with Super Draft Pro And boom, that's about it. So thank you everyone once again for tuning in to episode 148. We'll be back here again on Tuesday night. Don't forget also our coaching session show. No, it's not about the NFL. It's about our life coaches, Jania and Jesse. If you guys want, you can tune in on Monday night at 8 o'clock for that show as well. So thank you once again to Ed. Thank you to Fuji, even though the Godfather did screw up a little bit in the very beginning, but that's okay because we won't hold it against him. Thanks to Sean and for my producer over at Studio B. We hope everyone enjoys their weekend. We will see you all next week. And Fuji?
Go Birds!